Hey out there, everybody in the Leijiverse. This is Jacob Campbell coming from Leijiverse on Facebook, facebook.com/Leijiverse. And today I'm really excited. All the talks we've been having have led up to me getting to speak with a man who is literally carrying on the torch of Leiji Matsumoto's work and bringing Captain Harlock with his work, Memoires de L'Arcadia, to a whole new generation and reigniting the passion of everybody who enjoyed it back in the day. I'm joined today by Jérome Alquié. Jerome, how are you doing today?
Fine, thanks. And hello, everybody.
Very excited to have you on the show today. I just wanted to start out really basic, really simple. Who are you, Jerome, and what do you do?
I'm from France. I am 45, from the generation of the 80s. And in France, we watched the first Japanese anime in 1978, which was Grandizer, Goldorak in French. And I was really fan of this kind of animation. And I tried to make the characters I love on TV screen, on my hands, on papers, between one week to another week, to create adventures of my heroes. I began my very young career of illustrator in the 80s when I watched the anime.
Okay, so your career started at what age would you say you were again?
At five. When I was really young.
Yes,
the youngest drawing I kept was Grandizer, and I was 3 or 4 maximum, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I still have it, and I made a art book of all my creations, all my official and non-official artworks. And in the end of the book, I thank all people I could meet during my career, and I put on the page the picture of my youngest Grandizer.
That's awesome. So this collection is something that you've put out in recent history?
The art book was made in 2016, contains all official works I made with rights owners of different TV shows. Mm-hmm. I made a lot of DVD covers for French publishing of anime. So I collect all these drawings in a big art book. Was called Sweet Savage, because Sweet Savage is the name of the collection of personal creation, personal artworks about women under earth elements.
Okay, and then also in that book are things like the DVD cover for Albator 78 or Space Pirate Captain Harlock, exactly. Like you did. I just found out that you did that from Yvonne a while ago, and I'll bring that up later.
There are a lot of DVD covers and official illustrations, and this is all collected for TV shows like Ulysses 31, Captain Future, Dragon Ball Z, Saint Seiya, all the TV shows that have a big success in France during the 80s and 90s.
Oh, wow. Okay, that's awesome. So what an impressive collection of very important works.
It's quite amazing, because when I was young, I record all the episode of the TV shows on my cassettes, on my VHS. I draw my own VHS covers to put on my to put on my desk, and French publisher asked me if I want to create this kind of DVD covers for all France. So it was a fantastic job for me.
Yeah, no brainer.
a dream job.
Yeah. Well, your career has come such a far way, and I think it's cute and it's accurate to say, oh, my career began when I was 5. Most people will be like, my career began when this guy handed me money to do it. And you're like, no, I was pro from day one, and I appreciate that approach.
I've got another thing to say about this. Sometimes people ask me, when they see a poster, a picture, they ask me, how many times to do it? Of course, the real answer is 1 hour, 2 hours, that depends on, but the right answer is 40 years.
Yes.
I made 40 years to do it.
I believe that's accredited to Picasso, no? Yeah. Yeah, it's a good quote. How long did it take you? My whole life. And that's such an accurate sentiment. Yes. I agree 100%. And coming up through your anime career and talking about old drawings, this is something I wanted to get to really quick. I just spoke with Yvonne West Lawrence, and he told me about you being inspired by Anime Land and then actually sending them some drawings. Comics, actually, looking to get published. When was this and what happened there?
Yes. To answer your question, I have to explain when I meet Leiji Matsumoto works. For the first time, I discovered Captain Harlock when it was shown in '94 in France for France television. But I did not watch it when it was shown for the first time in France at the beginning of the 80s. I was too young for that. So in '94, I was quite adult to better understand all the world of Leiji Matsumoto's and the ecologic way, the robotic way. And I discovered that and say, what's an amazing show. Amazing story and really beautiful drawings. It was a part of the movie Wagaseishu no Arcadia, the scene when Harlock loses his eye, and I say, it's fantastic. I have to find all can I find about this TV show. So I try to find by friends, by stores who sell this kind of art books, artworks about Captain Harlock, and I met Yvonne West Lawrence by the article in the Anime Land, and he explained in this magazine. He explained all the world of Leiji Matsumoto's from Captain Harlock and his connections with Galaxy Express and other TV shows like Princess Millenia or Gun Frontier. And it was really exciting because I didn't know anything about Captain Harlock. And this article gave me a lot of information and gave me the will to find what can I find about this character. It was really exciting because it was a moment where internet was not exist. So we have to find as we can, have all the elements of like a puzzle. Each new answer creates a lot of new questions. And this was really exciting in the 90s.
Absolutely.
So Yvonne West Lawrence is really important in my comprehension of Leiji Matsumoto's world. So I thank you a lot. And in the first volume of Memories of Arcadia, I make a thank you to Yvonne for that.
Yes, he did a fantastic job of helping you get your stuff figured out. We were talking about Yvonne, and you did send in a comic book as how old were you when you sent them that fan comic?
In '94, so I was 19.
Okay, so you were 19, looking for exposure, rightfully. A lot of anime fanzines did publish fan comics, but Yvonne wanted to keep things all legit with the publishing. I asked him, and you said you published some of your first drawings in your latest book. I mean, I'd love to see that fan comic because that's sort of Is it in any way like a prototype for Memories de l'Arcadia?
No, it was only a comics from the movie Wagasation no Arcadia in manga size. It's not really a prototype of Memories of Arcadia. No, I think I have it. I think I can find it in all my all my files on computer, and if you want, I can send it to you.
I think everybody would
too
enjoy.
Bad, but it's really different than what I can do today, of course.
Well, today you also have other comic artists who brought Harlock to life in modern day to inspire you. Did you see Dimensional Voyage?
I met Kyuichi Shimaboshi before beginning the works on Memories of Arcadia, because we work, for my comics, we work directly with Leiji Matsumoto and his staff. And the staff is his Japanese publisher called Akita Shoten, the publisher of Dimension Voyage. We make a meeting to discuss about the process of validation, to know how we have to do, send the scenario, the script, send the storyboard, and after the final pages. And I had the chance to discuss with Shimaboshi to understand what is really important to Leiji Matsumoto, what we have to do. For example, he told me Leiji Matsumoto loves great settings. Besides the characters, the settings, is it right?
The atmospheres are so important, and how he painted the space backgrounds was legendary.
Backgrounds. And he told me, be careful for the backgrounds. More detail is it, and more he will appreciate it. So I get it in my mind, and when I show my first work about Memories of Arcadia, I made big backgrounds and send it to Master Matsumoto, and he say, "Wow, very good. Go on like that." So
you got that.
Thank you, Oshi. The details of the belt, is it right? Belt. Details of the belt with the skull drawn on the belt, and he told me this kind of information, and we discussed about the way to place different pictures on a page. Instead of this, it's different between Franco-Belgium size and manga size. It's quite different. But we discuss about these kind of things.
Yeah, so it sounds like he kind of already went through the rigmarole of learning what Matsumoto wanted, and he passed all that down to you and made your job a lot easier. And that's fantastic.
It was the interest of this meeting, and because it's really precise, accurate for how to draw for Matsumoto. And in the other hand, I met Mr. Kobayashi, who is the publisher of Dimension Voyage, and he explained to me how to target the audience of Captain Future, which kind of audience we have in France. I explained to him that there's two kind of audience in France. There's the fan audience, people who know very well what is Leiji Matsumoto's world. And in other end, we have in France, we say the ground audience, the popular audience. Because
general audience, I think.
General audience, yes. Because Albator is really known as a pop culture hero in France. So they are not really fans. They don't know the world of Leiji Matsumoto very well, but they have a great remind of this hero in the 80s, and they want to discover, to feel what they felt when they are young, reading Memories of Arcadia. There are two different audiences in France, and that's the reason why we explained to the publisher that it's very important for us to give to this audience a comics with colors, with big size, because it was the size very popular in the 80s in France, and with colors, because that reminds not the manga that is not really known in France, but really the animation of Captain Harlock. And that's the reason why we made this size for Memories of Arcadia.
And
that was really interesting to explain to Mr. Kobayashi, because he wanted to see us make a manga and not a big size comics, because it's easier for them to publish after the manga in Japan. But when he saw arriving the first pages of the big size comics I made, they say, wow, it's really different that we can make in Japan. There's really something added that we do not have in Japan. So it's really interesting and different. And they kept the size for the publishing in Japan. That's really important to say. They respect our size of publication for Japan.
Yeah, and that must have been a huge undertaking for them. Maybe they were looking to invest in this procedure, because I know the infrastructure, okay, we've been printing this one size for decades and decades, and now we're going to tell our printer we need something different. I work a lot in print and design, so I know that's not an easy task for them. So it's really cool they went above and beyond to respect what you were bringing to the art form itself.
The first publication of our comics is on the website of the publisher, of the Japanese publisher. So it's just something you can download. Instead of the size, we saw a lot of downloads for this comic. So it's really interesting to see the welcome of the Japanese audience. And perhaps, it's not sure, but it's possible to make a big paper comics in Japan, which collects the 3 volumes, the 3 French volumes, to make just one book for the Japanese audience at the end of the year.
Yes, the tomes I see that are put out.
Yes, I say volumes, tomes, yes.
Well, is tomes a branding thing, or is that actually what you guys call it in France? I wasn't sure.
Yes, in French, tome and volume. Tome is the French word for volume, and we also say volume, but yeah.
Oh, okay. So you guys will go either way.
Say volume in English?
Yeah, we usually call it a volume, but it sounds like you guys will go either way with it, which is cool. Tomes just feels cooler when I'm talking about Arcadia, and I'm thinking about the Arcadia book or something like that. So that's all
I
really
can
cool.
repeat it to you. The 3 volumes, the 3 French volumes, will be grouped, and for one Japanese volume of around 200 pages.
Okay, wow. That's excellent. So they're in for quite a treat. We were talking a little bit about the style of Captain Harlock and how it's evolved and what's important, and you're talking about targeting and things like that. Now, this isn't a slight in any way against anybody who's ever drawn Captain Harlock. Not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is I've been reading the comic books, which I have behind me, and the originals, and I'm like, I would just love to see it drawn like that one more time, though. How do you feel about the original style, that loose, inky style? And they tried to replicate it in the early 2000s with a lot of the animations that came out, and they got pretty close. But when you're animating, you've got to rotate orbs and square cubes, basically to keep the shapes constrained. How would you feel about seeing something drawn in that super loose, inky style again? How do you feel about that style?
It's complicated to make a short answer, but I love Leiji Matsumoto's work because it's very romantic.
Yes.
The lines, the curves are really beautiful. But I think it's really difficult for young people to appreciate as well as we can Matsumoto's style. It was really interesting when I make drawings for audience. I can meet on conventions that young people were not really interested in Leiji Matsumoto's works. But when they discover the works, by the Memories of Arcadia, they are interested in, and they can go to discover all the comics, all the manga of Leiji Matsumoto. And I'm really proud of it to give the will for young people to discover Leiji Matsumoto's world and works and art of style by Memories of Arcadia.
Yeah, I think we're on the same page. You're bringing up a very important point. I mean, what age range would you say these kids are that like your comic?
That is really interesting with Memories of Arcadia is that it's very popular in France. So I met a lot of people that were kids in the 80s, but they come with their family. They come with their sons and daughters and show, oh, this is what I was watching when I was young, when I have the same age as you, and they let them discover this world. So that's really interesting. And I can meet people between 50 and 5. You have just 1 minute, I can move and show on the screen a drawing that I received 2 days ago from a very young fan. Do you want it?
Sure. Yeah, I'd love to see that.
I come back.
Oh, wow.
You see it?
Yes, I do see it. They did a fantastic job.
Like this. I think he is 7 or 8, I think.
That's really beautiful, and that's got to be super validating.
It's really a very important and great gift for me.
Yeah,
I work for this kind of emotions, of feelings.
Yeah, I mean, Leiji talks about it all the time, and it really is the basis of his concept of characters like Totoro and Tetsuro to live forever, to go beyond your own physical body. He you know, you watch Galaxy Express and you see, is this guy against robot bodies and modification? No, if you've heard him talk about it, he says he wants to be in a robot body. So, but art is the way that we transcend our own lives, and we create, and that creation inspires youth, and that youth carries on our legacy, basically, in one way or another, like Tetsuro carrying on Totoro and Harlock to an extent. That's really beautiful. I guess what I was saying originally was, man, I just love to see some loose, inky Captain Harlock comics again somehow. And if maybe it is impossible to go back to, you know, the 70s when people weren't as used to these hyper tight drawings of anime and everything, you know, and it happened out of an invention of necessity. Like I said, they had to animate it, so it had to be well constructed. It couldn't change the character model ever. There's no room for that looseness. But in comics, you have that ability, but then you're brought back to what does the audience recognize? And it's interesting.
Do you like the animation creation? The characters on the animation is really quite different from Leiji Matsumoto's comics, but do you like it?
I do like it. I think, like I said, in the 2000s, they were really trying to get that inky quality back. But it's just, like I said, a thing of necessity. So I recognize that the comics could never look like the anime feasibly, beyond doing something like avant-garde, extremely avant-garde, which personally I'd love to see, but I understand that these things have to make money and people have to enjoy them.
The animation, I find the Kazuo Komatsubara's artworks on the first and the second season of Captain Future are really amazing. The water paintings of Captain Harlock with a red suit, or from Wagaseishin no Arcadia, are really amazing from the hands of Kazuo Komatsubara.
Let's move on from talking about style and talk more about process. And I wanted to ask you what your content creation process looks like from, let's say, the beginning of an issue or the beginning of a series. What do you do leading up to a series? And then how does that turn into an issue by issue process?
Well, as I told you, I discussed with Akita Shoten to make in place a special process to make all the comics of Memories of Arcadia. First step is to present to Leiji Matsumoto the exact script of the 3 volumes. And he made different notice, remarks to say, be careful to something. This character is not really exactly as I imagine it. I have to change little things for the script. And when the script is validated, accepted, I work on the storyboard. So page by page, I present different with definitive dialogues, not to be changed after the validation of the storyboard. It's the second state. Akita Shoten asked us to present a third state that was the page drawn by pencil, and the fourth one was the definitive colored page. But
okay, so he didn't approve the inking.
To approve, the pencil page, and after the final page, so that includes ink and color.
Right.
But I'm not able to do like that. I explained to you, I do not work as a page on pencil and after I make my ink and my colors. I work for comics exactly as we work for animation. I create all characters, positions of characters. For each panel, I make on paper the characters and on another paper the background. I scan the characters and I color them on screen by software. And I do the same thing on my backgrounds, and I make compositing to place characters on the background, exactly as we make anime celluloids, anime cells for production. That give me the freedom to change something, to change positions, to have backgrounds, not to have big size backgrounds, to use them not only on one panel, but on different panel when it's possible. So it's easier for me. And so there is no really an original page, There are original drawings, but not original page of the final page. You understand?
Yeah, I mean,
so it was not possible for me to make the third validation. They asked it to me. So I explained that, and they say, "Oh, okay. So we approve the storyboard, and after you give us the final page." But it's really frightening because when you have to change something just on ink, it's easier than to change something with all colors. So it was really frightening when I sent my first pages. I was really scared of the answer, and they say, "Oh, really great! It's exactly what we want. So go on like this." Oof.
Yeah. Bullet dodge. I mean, there are ways around color, right? Depending on the software you're using, sometimes you can get away with tweaking balance in a background or something like that. Getting into the more technical aspects here, because I'm hopeful there are at least a few young up-and-coming comic book creators. Could you talk just a little bit about what software you use and maybe what tools you use?
Photoshop. It's a very, very old version of Photoshop.
Oh yeah, which version?
From 2003.
Okay, so is that like CS5 or something?
17 years ago, and I still use it. I'm sure I will be more efficient with last version, but well, I used to do like this, and I will change. I promised to my wife because she told me, I promised to her that I will change my version of software for next project after Memories of Arcadia. So I finish Memories of Arcadia, and after I will have the latest Photoshop.
Yeah, you'll be on the cloud. You'll be Adobe Cloud. You'll be paying that monthly cost instead of that one time. For people like me, I've been really happy with the subscription service. But I know when you paid for it and you have it and you get to keep it for forever. I understand. There's, what is that? CS2, CS3?
Oh, no, it's no, not CS.
Not CS. Wow. Okay.
Before CS.
Wow. Okay.
Photoshop. 6.0.
Wow.
Really?
I think I even had I had a Hewlett Packard with 64 megabytes of RAM on it and Windows ME, and I had Photoshop 7 on it, and it was chugging. But wow, okay, so but you've been in the game a while.
I'm not able to use the brushes, for example.
Oh no.
Really no. So I make everything by hand. I'm sure it will be better for me to have the latest version, but I used to do like that, and I know very well my software. Well, yeah, I mean, and I can do what I want to do, you know? The when my software cannot do what I want, so that's necessary to change. But actually, it's not the case. So, well, I finished Memories of Arcadia like that.
That's really cool. I mean, there's a ton of value in creating your own assets in Photoshop for sure. So, and I know you work with a lot of like inky textures and things like that. So when you're making those brushes, are you creating those inky textures and sort of blobs with with like ink and paper and watercolors and then scanning it in?
It's very difficult in my version to create brushes, for example.
Oh, okay.
I can make it, but I cannot apply it with, for example, changing the size. It's not possible.
Oh, wow.
You know, it's crazy. I know it's crazy. I mean,
I've worked in studios before and used ancient Macs. It's like we can never update from, we can't use Google Chrome on these computers anymore because the processor won't support it. Like I know how hard it is to upgrade it all, basically. So I commend you on your work there. You're talking about your process and the fear that comes with, skipping a step, saying, I got to go by my process, and then hoping that they receive it well, or else they're going to go, well, it's because we didn't follow the second step. We didn't do the second step. So that's why it's bad. That's one tough part of your job. But what would you say the hardest part of your job is?
I think the hardest thing is to accept the fact that the result of what we do or what we make or what we draw will not be perfect. This is really difficult for me because when you make comics, it's a fight between quality and time to realize it. And due to the deadline, sometimes I have to say, well, my drawings could be better, but I have no time to do more. So spend time for the other panels and forget the first one. And that is really the hardest thing for me. I don't know if it's really what you imagine as answer. We say in France, Edo, we say le deuil, the death, if you want. But it's really like that. When I open my book, my comics, I see all the things that could be better, that I could be something better than that was published.
Yeah, you only see the flaws.
I see only these things and not the other that are great. And this is the hardest thing for me.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, that's so common. Maybe the audience is maybe surprised to hear that, but as an artist, I completely relate. You only see the flaws. Getting over that is really difficult. And you're not just bound by what really hurts about it is you're not just bound by time. You're not just bound by what you have to draw. You're bound by your own ability. And that's the one part of the triangle there that we always focus on the most because it's what we feel we control the most. And so that turns into sort of a neuroses that can wear away at you if you're not careful about how you're interpreting your own work. So does that make sense? I mean, how do you deal with the negative feelings that you have when you're creating your work and seeing only the flaws?
Badly. Well, I have to accept, I know that it's not possible to spend all the time necessary to make the more perfect drawing, because of course, perfect does not exist.
Yes,
that depends
and perfect is the enemy of good.
Yes, exactly. We say the same thing in France. And what I see is not really what audience see. So we have to keep it in mind too when you draw. For example, I remind for the first volume, he had a collector version in France. And in this collector version, you have 8 pages more with some pencil drawings, some extracts from storyboard, for example. And the publisher chose some picture that I'm not really proud of them, you know? And I say, but no, not this one is not really good. I said, no, it's really good. Everybody loves this picture. So I have to accept there is a difference between my vision and the vision of the audience. It's different. So I have to understand that I have a special time to do my works. And if it's not as perfect as I would like, I have to change and continue, go on to. That is really important for comics. You know it. That's really important. It's to respect the deadlines. We can always make something better, but we have to respect the deadlines. So yes. I feel it badly, but I understand.
And in times it can work out.
The rule of the game.
And in times it can work out because it can stop you from over polishing and losing maybe a rough edge that you perceived as imperfect, but the audience may perceive as perfect, right? That perfect imperfection. And that kind of goes back to what we're talking about with those comics that I love so much. There is so much imperfection in them. It is.
My comics are plenty of mistakes, and
I was talking about the originals, just to be clear.
Oh, sorry.
Yes,
sorry.
not your. I wasn't. But you know what? The imperfections. You're plenty aware of those ones. But I'm going to point out that Leiji Matsumoto has plenty of imperfections in his work, and that's what makes it so beautiful.
Yes, exactly. I had this conversation with him when I met Leiji Matsumoto, and we talk about techniques. And we talk about the fact to draw a character, and look at the reflect on the mirror of the character drawn, you know, to see if changed by the mirror is always as perfect or as good as we see directly. And we agree to say that it's not really like that we can measure if the drawing is good or not, because every drawing has mistakes, every drawing has imperfections, like you said, imperfections, and that make the really style of an artist. And Leiji Matsumoto has his style and his imperfections, like I think every artist.
Yeah, I'll quote Bob Ross: "There are no mistakes, only happy accidents." I mean, that is his ethos, and it translates to all art. So that's really powerful. And stepping back to process for a little bit, something I wanted to bring up. You're talking about repurposing and recycling backgrounds and moving things around, photo editing, basically, to get things composed quickly and good enough to make your deadline. And we know that Leiji Matsumoto used many photo techniques in his original comics, worked closely with Miyako Maki to really refine that. And, you're seeing what is often the same planet in the background, but with different techniques and different effects and filters put on everything. I mean, he was working in a very composite way, just like you were. And I don't know how much that was being done back in his time, but I don't know if he was on the cutting edge of that, or have you ever interacted with him about photo editing techniques and how he composed comics back in the day?
We did not discuss with Leiji Matsumoto about techniques of realization for backgrounds, for example, photo techniques. What I know is that he loves when backgrounds are full of details. I do not use this kind of techniques by photo.
Yes, I mean, he did it in an analog way.
Some friends of mine use the 3D techniques. They create their backgrounds in 3D model and change the position to find the good way to show the scene. I do not use this kind of things. Perhaps I will do for the next work, for the next comics I'm going to make.
So basically painting over a 3D image. Yeah.
Yes. Paintings, 3D models, or generating just the position and redraw the settings, the background. But I do not that for comics. Just one exception for the Arcadia. It's really difficult to draw the Arcadia. You say the hardest thing. Drawing the Arcadia is one of the hardest things. Thank you for Dimension Voyage to give some new positions of Arcadia from what we have on archives from Toei Animation. I use a 3D model, a very simple 3D model of Arcadia to find some new positions, but it's really the exception.
Yeah, and I mean, sometimes even just plopping in the 3D model isn't enough. You've got to tweak it and stretch it to kind of fit the page correctly. You play with perspective instead of maybe just tracing.
The 3D models are just to show me the good position, but I draw it by pen after my model of position.
I may be getting in
directly 3D models in my comics.
Right. I know it's not a 3D model. I guess I was saying, how the great masters, the Renaissance, used to play with perspective to kind of exaggerate something more than it would actually look.
Yes, I understand.
Do you ever do something like that with it where, it gets a little cluttered here towards the back, so I'm going to kind of tweak it a little bit? I may be getting in the weeds here.
I just made this kind of things one time when the Arcadia was rising up. Is it we say rising up? We have to make a picture with the nose of the Arcadia really big. I don't think it's really a picture that we can make by photo if we have a model. I think it's not realistic, but it's better for the feeling we have to have looking to the picture.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yes. We're on the same page.
One exception I made like it. I know that the picture is not accurate physically,
right.
It's not the important. It's not you understand?
Yes, absolutely. And that's exactly what I was asking you. You play with perspective to achieve a greater result. than if you just went by quote unquote reality.
We are going to work, I can say to you, this is a scoop perhaps,
okay,
but we are going to work after Memories of Arcadia on another Japanese license, which called Saint Seiya. You know it? Saint Seiya.
Oh, Saint Seiya.
Saint
yes,
Seiya,
I really wasn't the Zodiac Warriors.
Knights of Zodiac, yes.
I really wasn't, and I just saw like the intro in some Facebook page. Like people post intros to animes on Facebook, and I just saw it. It's a beautiful intro. I'm not, and I do recognize the anime, but I've just never watched it.
Okay. So perhaps you will watch it by the comics, and we will work on it. And for all the backgrounds, there are a lot of temples, of Greek temples, you know, and that's interesting to make them on 3D models and create not realistic transformations to have some interesting point of view.
And you're squashing and stretching things, if that makes sense. Yes.
And I think I will spend 1 month of pre-production of these comics to explore this kind of techniques.
That's really cool.
I hope that will give it to me some good results and some pictures that can be used directly without redraw them, included the color rendering. But I don't know. I have no guarantee about the results, and so that's the reason why it will be a prospection during 1 month, and after I will take my decision if I can make backgrounds with or without 3D models.
Yeah, that's really interesting. You're getting to experiment with a lot of cool techniques. And like I said, Leiji Matsumoto did a lot of photo manipulation back in the day to achieve his results quickly, just like you're working to ensure people can get more comics. And speaking of, the Arcadia being incredibly hard to draw, I spoke with somebody who informed me that his brother was a space engineer of some sort. Are you familiar with this?
When we met ourselves, we discussed about aeronautics and aerospace. Before being an artist, I was aeronautics engineer.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I work on helicopters. I work about the thermal problems, the thermal nivels, for example, of blades, or all the skin of the helicopters. And so we discussed with Matsumoto about aeronautics, is one of his passions. And discussing about aeronautics, we turned to aerospace, and he explains to me that he has a brother who is an engineer in space. He explained to me that Leiji Matsumoto, drawn some vehicles for exploring Moon or Mars. I do not remind it, but he explained to me that his brother asked him to draw some vehicles, and he's really proud of it, I think.
So Leiji Matsumoto actually drew for his brother in an instance.
Yeah.
Wow. So that actually reverses what I understood. And maybe this is out of things kind of a changing of the guard, where Matsumoto had to work to put his brother through college. And actually, while Leiji Matsumoto was drawing comics and he would draw something like the Arcadia, he would show it to his brother to ensure that it was actually could theoretically be functional within his universe. Were you familiar with that?
Yeah.
Okay.
And, the passion that he has for space. One time, I remind that perhaps you know it. He said, "One time I will like to go in space, just to see Earth from space." In Memories of Arcadia, I create a character who's called a professor, Professor Reiji. The drawing of the design of this character is clearly a representation of Leiji Matsumoto. of the face.
I mean, he's in
face.
almost every anime and comic he's ever been involved with. So that doesn't surprise me.
Meiji in 78 version is Leiji Matsumoto's face, but youngest. And in Memories of Arcadia, I make Leiji Matsumoto as he is 82. The age of Matsumoto, 82, I think. Mm-hmm. So I represent really a character with this age. So really different that Meji's one.
Yes,
and,
he
liked it. He find it really he said it's great to see myself in the comics. He saw that, and in the third volume, I created a special scene when the Arcadia is out of Earth and on orbit around Earth, and the Professor Reiji is looking to Earth. And Tadashi saw that and asked Professor Reiji, what are you doing? I'm really watching Earth because this was the dream of my life, see Earth from space. And when I see Earth now, I understand we have to protect, we have to respect it. I created this scene to put the character in the dream of what he liked for his life, you know?
Yeah.
And he really liked this scene because, I don't know if he will be able to go to space and see Earth from space, but his character in my comics made it.
Yeah. So he did in some universe, maybe there's a parallel universe where your comic book is reality and he got to do it there. But either way, we need to get him in contact with SpaceX and Elon Musk or something to get that man in space. He deserves it. And I'm sure he's ready for the risk. I believe how his character is found is he's frozen on a planet and then Maytel thaws him, and his life has been preserved by this freezing. That's what I got just by seeing one page of what I believe is your comic. Is that what happens?
Yes. When in the first volume he was frozen by Mel, the Amazon of ice, Matsumoto wrote to me and asked me, is my character is dead? Are you able to, not to say it directly, but not to be sure, we don't know. So I explained to him, no, he's not dead. And in the second volume, your female character, your most famous female character will come and save you.
Mom comes to save him.
Like the immortality of an artist goes by the way of his creations, you know?
Yes.
This is the
mother of his creations.
The second line to understand this scene. He accepted to give me the authorization to use the character of Maytel in the second volume due to this explanation, you know.
Oh wow! So you had to sort of propose a reason to authorize the usage. Interesting.
At the beginning, we do not able to use in the original Uchu Kaizoku Captain Harlock comics. We just have the right to use the characters on the original manga of Captain Harlock. And Maytel is not inside.
Right.
Esmeraldas is. Mayu is not in the original one. So we have to discuss with Toei Animation to use the character of Mayu, which is very important in the souvenir of French people, of the popular audience of the TV show.
Yes.
But for Maytel, it's quite different. I just wanted to make a cameo, and I asked for using it. And with the explanation I make that your character, your metal will save you in the second volume. He said, okay, use it. I'm okay.
Well, I hope that's not too big of a spoiler for anybody that's interested.
No, the second volume is always available in France.
Yes. Well, let's
I'm
talk
just
about
working on the third one.
Yeah, let's talk about an English release if ever possible. It's not available in English currently, which is a shame.
Yes. Yes.
You maybe had some words on that.
I would like.
Yeah.
I would like to see it in English. Actually, it is translated in Spanish, in Italian, and in Japanese.
Okay.
But we would like to see it in English.
Yes.
You have the availability to make it possible. Please make it.
Basically, what I want to talk about now are the fans. And the fans of Harlock, I believe, have had maybe a disproportional effect on the anime's availability. I've been talking with Toki no Wa members of that forum who have worked on commercial releases where I don't see that in other animes. Yvonne said, oh, well, one time a publisher got somebody to fact check that was a fan, but I'm talking about actually making content, influencing content. I just want to ask, how have the fans impacted your work?
Well, we know each other, Tokinowa members, Werbring members. I love all the works of Leiji Matsumoto, all the animation. I do not know very well all of them. Yamato, for example, because it was not shown on TV, but Galaxy Express is one of them. We discuss during conventions, during meetings. We talk about what we like in Captain Harlock character, and the answer is that for French audience, for French fans, everybody remind the charisma. We say that the charisma of Captain Harlock, and is really a hero, a pirate hero for kids, for boys, and a lot of girls love the captain,
Yes.
And it's very funny when I make drawings for audience. When it's a young girl of 45 or 50 on age, they say, "Oh, I fell in love of Captain Harlock. It was my first love, my young love. If I had €1 each time I hear that, I am a millionaire."
Yes.
For French audience, it's really Captain Harlock is really a very important, popular hero. So when I begin my work on Memories of Arcadia, I have in mind that I work on really an icon, a pop icon for everybody in France. It was a pressure more, it's really a pressure. I feel myself as Peter Jackson, who made the Lord of the Rings. It's exactly the same for me. Of course, Lord of the Rings is more famous than Captain Harlock. It's obvious, but it's really to compare my point of view. I was like Peter Jackson. I am fan of Captain Harlock. I know that a lot of people are fans, like this hero of their youth. So I know it's really important, and I try to, when I work on Memories of Arcadia, I try to add inside the comics all the characteristics of the Japanese character, of Leiji Matsumoto's character, but adding to all the steps of history of Captain Harlock in France. You understand what I mean?
Yes.
I try to make some cameos, some reference to stories that only known by French people. For example, the name. The name in France is not Captain Harlock, is Albator. Right. And we kept the name of Albator in France because Captain Harlock is not known in France. So there is no sense to make a comics with Captain Harlock as title. I try to add a lot of things during the Memories of Arcadia to remind some important moments for people that lived in France during the 80s. I give you an example, a simple example. When I worked on the trailer for the first volume, I asked to the French voice in 1979, the French voice of Albator in France, to make the voice of the trailer.
À toi, mon ami, qui voyage avec nous sur cette mer d'étoiles, à bord de l'Arcadia.
Oh, okay.
The name of his person is Richard Darbois. He's very known in France because he's really a famous voice today. Mm-hmm. It was not really known in 1979, but really now is the voice, for example, Harrison Ford voice.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So he's really someone very important in the voice world in France. But he accepted. He said, "Oh, really? You give to me the possibility to meet one more time the character of Captain Harlock? Okay, I will do it." And that's an element of the history of Captain Harlock, of Albator in France. It's very important for me. So I don't know, to answer your question, I don't know if really I integrate the feelings of fans, but I try to give to them what make parts of history of Captain Harlock in their life. You understand?
Yes, you paid close attention to the things that the fans value, and you've integrated that by ensuring that things like it's Captain Albator in France, it's got to be called that there, and things like that. And it's interesting that you bring
just to add one thing. The best gift that I received is someone who told me, when I read Memories of Arcadia, I meet my Albator. Our Albator in France.
Yes.
This is the best gift he gave to me.
That's really cool. And I was just going to bring up real quick, Star Wars and Harlock and anime in general, old anime in general. It's with Harlock, it's more of a chicken and the egg. Like which really influenced which a little bit. Maybe there was a little back and forth, because I know that, Tezuka was really into Disney and Disney stole from Tezuka all the time. Right. So you may have the same sort of thing going on with the Lucas and Matsumoto. But to say that the voice of Captain Harlock or Captain Albator in France does the voiceovers for Harrison Ford, who was the rogue pirate who may be based on Captain Harlock a little bit, that's everything comes full circle with this stuff all the time. And that's really fascinating. But I'll just fine tune the fans question a little bit. Have you spoken with any fan? Have you gotten any direct influence from a fan? Has a fan ever said something to you that something clicked, and it wasn't like a general statement where they're like, "Oh, I love Captain Harlock"? Did they ever say anything to you about your work and it changed something or it redirected something?
When I talk to fans, I hear what they like. Yes. And without spoil, really, they always loved the character of Emeraldas.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't preview to use really Emeraldas in my story, but I gave to her a bigger role in the third volume due to the reaction of everybody who say, "Oh, please, I hope there will be Emeraldas in the third volume." So yes, that changed my presentation of this character in the third volume. Yes.
Yeah, and Emeraldas post Totoro is always sort of a very vague plot for her. In some versions, she follows his casket through space and never does anything else. So to give her life beyond that, I think it's empowering, A, and it's B, great fan service. I mean, Amaryllis is fan service to a great extent. So that's really cool.
Well, what we can hear in the French version, perhaps it's not the same in Japanese, but in the French version of Captain Harlock in 1978, she says that she will be always the guardian of his mind, of his soul, after his death. And she disappeared.
And it's interesting to say that she protects the soul of Totoro, because the soul of Totoro is in the Arcadia. So essentially she is the protector of the Arcadia when you get down to the everything. So
yes, I understand. And I use in Memories of Arcadia, I use not the word soul, but the word memory of Arcadia.
Yes.
Memory seems a lot of things in my comics. And one of these things is the soul of the Arcadia, so Tochiro's soul. And in the third volume, I present Esmeraldas as the guardian of not Tochiro's soul, but Tochiro's memory. And this is the importance of this character in the third volume. And you understand all this utility, I'm not sure the word, but we understand why she is in the volume due to really the word memory of Arcadia. Well, I do not talk more because this is spoiled, but be sure that she is presented as the guardian of his memory and not soul.
Quickly, we talked a lot about your interactions with Leiji Matsumoto. Are there any other instances where you had interesting interactions with him that you'd like to talk about?
After the publishing of the first volume, in the following of the publishing of the first volume, in the convention in France that called Japan Expo, a very big convention in France, and he was one of the guests. And we published the first volume just 1 week before, so it was perfect. The time was perfect, and we made our first meeting in front of the cameras of French television, and it was really funny and bizarre too, and frightening too. And we have other time to discuss together, and we spend an evening together at the restaurant to talk about his life, his very rich life, all the adventures he had in his life.
Can I ask, were there any adventures that stuck out to you?
He talked about when he was on his airplane in front of Stanley Mountain, and he told me, I will not able to pass the mountain. I have to go back. Sorry, Mr. Matsumoto, this is not your story. It's the story of the of the movie. No, it's my story. Oh, really? For example, this kind of story, or when you go to Africa and the Kilimanjaro or something like that. He explained to me he's a collectionist. You say that? Collectionist?
A collector?
Collector of old weapons from worldwide. And for example, he collects old French swords. You say that? French swords.
Swords. Okay.
Since Napoleon, and he explains that really naturally, with a lot of humility, is really incredible.
I've been asking everybody, which Leijiverse character do you think best represents yourself?
I will not say one of the politicians, because
yes, we've established.
I am crazy after what you said, but I think I don't know for me, but I'm not really a courageous man. So I do not imagine that I could be Tetsuro or one member of the Arcadia. I think I could be one of the humans listening to government and perhaps do not have the ability to think about really the condition. And you know what I mean? I'm not really a courageous man, so I really like Captain Harlock because he's not me.
Well, you just haven't been pushed to that point.
In all Leijiverse, the character that I love really is Captain Harlock for the boy, and for the girls is really metal.
Yeah, they're awesome characters. I mean, you have not been put into a post-apocalyptic situation with which to test your mettle, so to speak. So we don't know yet if you're just a civilian scared on Earth, or if you took the call like Daiba and joined the ship when the chips are down. We don't know yet. So maybe we'll find out by the end of 2020 the way things are going. It's been rough.
Perhaps I could be Mayu, for example. Perhaps. But young Mayu, not Mayu in Dimension Voyage, but young Mayu.
Let me just finish up by asking, how has Leiji Matsumoto's work changed your life? How has it changed your humanity?
All my life. When I discovered his world in 1994, there was a before and an after, Captain Harlock and all the world of the Lejiiverse is really what I like, what I love to see, read, watch on TV as adventures. I was during my studies in 1994, and at that time I said to me, well, one day I will be an illustrator. Because I would like to create something like Leiji Matsumoto, a world like that. I didn't do it immediately after my studies because I was an engineer, as I told to you, but I have the dream to become one day an artist, and that is a dream given by Leiji Matsumoto's world. You understand?
Yes, absolutely. So
I can say today that changed my life.
And it makes perfect sense because at the focal point of every Leijiverse anime are dreams and what we aim to be, and whether or not we get there. And something that Leiji Matsumoto has said is time does not betray dreams. Yeah, and it's his belief that...
It's exactly what I wrote in the thanks page in the first volume. I say, I thank you, Mr. Matsumoto. You told everyone that kids, young adults have to follow their dreams and do not abandon them. And I listened to what you said, and today you realize my dream, according to me, the possibility to make this comic. So thank you very much, because you are the origin of this dream, and I make this dream today by your work and by your human person,
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Jerome, for joining us today and answering all these questions, giving us so much amazing insight. And you have so generously offered to give us even more in the form of a live drawing. So if you have a setup you want to say for that, go ahead. But otherwise, we'll cut right to the drawing.
Thank you very much for this discussion, and I hope one day you could read in the States, perhaps, Memories of Arcadia. It will be a pleasure for me to share with the American audience. Thank you very much.
We'll keep pushing for that reality. Yes, that's one of our dreams here at Leijiverse, to get as much of it available to the English-speaking audience as humanly possible. So thank you for your blessing, and I'll fight for that. We'll all fight for that. Thank you all, and let's check out some live drawing. Are you holding the camera and drawing at the same time?
Yeah.
I just want the audience to be aware of this.
I've got two hands. Okay. It's difficult to do it just with one hand. You understand that your left hand is really useful to change the position of the paper, and
well, I'm a lefty, so I don't even know how to use my hands.
It's quite difficult to do it with one hand.
Yes.
I can ask to my wife if it's possible to take on her hand the camera. Is it possible? Not a problem for you?
And we actually saw your wife in the background, I believe. So
she will not agree to appear.
She already did, unfortunately.
Yes. I think she agreed to hold the camera, but not to appear. I will ask to her, mon amour.
You just got to let her know she's on camera then. I don't want to get in trouble.
Si je dis que c'était possible que tu tiennes la caméra pendant que je fais le dessin, mon amour. Well, she arrived, so
thank you.
I have my two hands to finish my drawing.
Extend our thanks to her.
Un grand merci à toi, mon ami. She does not speak in English, so I can tell you that I will give you a photo of my wife to thank her with a picture. I could tell it to you because she does not understand what I'm saying, actually.
I'm going to publish this. I hope you know.
She understands that I'm talking about her, but she doesn't know exactly what I say. So,
oh no,
she is really a great human person, my wife.
Yes.
J'ai dit que des choses gentilles sur toi.
Ouais.
That's stunning.
Okay?
Yes. Better than okay. Amazing.
Thank you.
Oh, wow. And yes, we have plenty of American fans here. So if you're an American and you're watching this right now, this is for you. This is for you because you don't get much. You don't get much from Leiji Matsumoto.
Thank you very much. I've got a friend of mine who worked with me in the past. Is not really implicated in official work about Matsumoto's world, but he loves it. He loves this world, and he was my test audience before publishing.
Was this the direct fan influence that I was asking you about?
Yeah, perhaps.
Well, I got you on camera with that. Okay, I'm going to cut that into the interview now.